Welcome back, everybody. We're here to pull cards for May the 18th. I am going to be pulling one card for overall energy, and then after that, we'll pull one card for each sign, and we shall see what shows up for our predictions for tomorrow for everybody. Let's see. You guys, if you know your sun sign, that's a great thing to check. If you know your rising sun and your moon sign as well, or any of the houses that you're interested in knowing information about, then you want to check those signs as well. Ba-ba-da-da-da. Overall energy shows up as the Knight of Arrows, or in this deck, the Hawk. So this just talks about making plans, making strategies, making decisions, and looking at those decisions very logically, kind of summing them up and figuring out what's the bottom line of these decisions. That's what I'm looking for. This is making decisions in a logical way, so probably having to do with some kind of business we're taking care of in our lives, whether it's personal business or, for work. Looking at it very logically. All right, let's see how it plays out for every sign. Aries. Okay, now this is really interesting because this is almost contradicting for me. You got the Page of Vessels, or the Otter, but it's showing up in reverse. Now, to me, the Otter says that you're having a hard time because your heart says one thing, your mind says another. They're not agreeing. And so this can have you really thinking in circles whenever we have something like this going on. So, Aries, I think with our overall energy, you're consulting somebody who is looking at this more logically and more objectively for you to try to get some insight here, because you're not liking this thinking in circles thing. Who does, right? Next up, let's look at Taurus. Taurus. 10 of Wheels showing up in reverse. 10 of Wheels. It's the number 10 in the deck. It's a major arcana card, and it's the Wheel of Fortune. They just call it the wheel in this deck. I don't know where I got 10 of Wheels. Uh, so Taurus, we basically have the Wheel of Fortune showing up in reverse. And this is telling me that with the Wheel of Fortune, some people think of it as bad luck, good luck. I don't so much think of it as bad luck or good luck, because one of the things that I've really seen firsthand recently with this card is that when the Wheel of Fortune comes up in the upright, it's usually because somebody has done some kind of work that helps things fall into place in their lives a little better than they have been. So they've done some kind of behind the scenes work. So to me, this is not so much about fortune as much as it's about preparation, you know? So when the Wheel of Fortune shows up in reverse, this is the idea that we have some things going on where everything is not really organized, things are a little bit chaotic. That makes things a little more difficult to deal with as they come up. It's not terrible. It's not that we can't get through the day and make things work, but we've got to put out some extra energy to do that. And I think what's going on here, Taurus, is that with our overall energy, we're looking at where there's, um, you know, resistance in our lives, where we're having to put in that extra energy and work because we don't have an organized system to deal with something that's going on. And we're looking at, how can we streamline that? How can we bring less resistance into that situation so that it becomes easier to handle as it comes up again in the future? So something going on that we're basically looking at making a strategy for how can we stream that and make that more resistance free? Streamline that, I should say, and make it more resistance free. Next up, we're looking at Gemini. Geminis. 3 of Stones in reverse. I feel like you've got some kind of creative block going on here, Geminis. Having some kind of creative block. So Could be writer's block, could be some other creativity, but you're just having a hard time. Having a hard time moving forward and thinking kind of outside the box to move forward. And I think normally you're pretty good at that. And so I think what you're doing is you're looking at yourself with that overall energy and you're evaluating what's going on with me. You're sorting through this so that you can get that creativity flowing again. You're looking at what's my best solution here. Good for you. Cancers. Okay, Cancers. You have the endurance card showing up. Those of you who have been watching me a while, you know that I think endurance is really a fascinating word, because it talks about putting up with something that is less than our normal standard, with the expectation that after we put up with it long enough, or after a certain event happens, things are going to get better and it's going to be worth it to put up with this substandard stuff. So, what I see going on here, Cancer, is you really making a decision, making a plan, figuring out how long am I going to put up with this substandard stuff? When am I going to say that's enough? Enough is enough. When am I going to say that? I think you are creating some very definitive red lines in the sand for yourself. You may not be telling everybody about them, but in your own mind, you're definitely creating them because you don't want to. I feel like you don't want to look back like 4 years from now and realize you're still in this endurance mode waiting for things to get better. So you're creating some timelines and some lines in the sand there, Cancers. Next up, we're looking at Leo. Leo, Leo. Abundance. We like this card. Talks about creating good memories. Talks about having plenty to do those things that we want to do. And I think with our overall energy, you are making some plans to make sure that you have plenty to do what you want to do in the long term, in the future. In this case, that overall energy is making a strategy for the long term. So that's what you're doing, making some kind of strategy there. Boop-ba-da-doo-doo. Next up is Virgo. So Virgos, you guys have the Five of Bows, or, excuse me, the Empowerment card. So what's going on with our Empowerment card and our Knight of Arrows? Virgos, you are looking on getting yourself into a more empowered situation in your life, whether that is getting into a house that suits you better, whether that is getting an education that gives you a leg up in your career, whatever it is that makes you feel more empowered, you're putting together a strategy to get yourself there. Whoop, whoop. Next up, we're looking at who's after Virgo? Leo. Leo, Leo. Balance card coming up for you guys. Boop-ba-da-doo. Leos, I think this has to do with your health. In some cases, this has to do with your mental health, that you're putting together a plan to maintain your health at a good level as you age. And, you don't have to be very old to start putting together a plan for that. So I don't want any feedback down below saying, I'm only 21. I'm not doing that. Well, I don't know. Maybe you should be already thinking about that. The sooner we start thinking about that, the better off we are. But also, I'm going to guarantee you there are some people your age that are thinking about that. So, general reading. If it doesn't apply to everybody, it'll apply to most. Boop-ba-da-doo, boop, boop-ba-da-doo. Let's look at Scorpio. Fellow Scorpios, what do we have? Oh, we've got our card. We've got the Queen of Vessels showing up here. Okay, So, Queen of Vessels with that waterfall behind, she has her emotions are kind of, and this could be for a him too, for he Scorpios as well. But this talks about the idea that emotions are what motivate us, that, how we feel about things. If we really care about somebody, we will go all out for them. If somebody has done something that has mm, made us not care so much for them, yeah, we're probably not going to lift too much of a finger. They might get a knuckle lift. That's about it. But this really talks about this backdrop of emotions motivating our actions. Talks about the idea of bending over backwards to please other people. And it also talks about the idea of getting wisdom in whatever ways we happen to get wisdom. Like some of us get wisdom through our spiritual practice, some of us get wisdom through our experience, some of us get wisdom in a combination of those ways. Um, so, whatever way it is that Scorpios get wisdom, each one of us, it's going to be different. That's really what's jumping out at me today is that we are getting that uh, emotional wisdom, emotional intelligence. We're growing in our emotional intelligence, if we want to say it like that. And I think that because of that growth, that's changing our perspective on something with our overall being the king of arrows. And so it's changing our strategy about something moving forward. Maybe we're knowing ourselves better. And as we know ourselves better, we know what kind of goals are really going to make us satisfied and happy. We may be tweaking some of those goals. Next up, let's look at Sagittarius. Sagittarius, look at y'all. Y'all got the seer. Okay, so you know what this tells me? This tells me that this is a great day to be tuned into your intuition. It also tells me, Sagittarius, that you're probably having something happen today that hmm, where you're having something happen that it makes you realize that your intuition is alive and well. And for those of you who are already aware of your intuition, you're going to notice it expanding. Something is going to happen that's going to get your attention. Those of you who aren't aware you have intuition, you may be becoming aware today. With that seer coming up, a lot of times what happens is there's some kind of dramatic thing that happens. Like you just know something and there's no denying that you know it ahead of time. Or, there's all kinds of different things, ways that this manifests. But bottom line is you recognize that your psychic abilities are either growing or you realize that you have some for the first time, depending where you are in your psychic journey. Very exciting card. We like it. I like it. I hope you guys like it. Capricorn, you're up next. Capricorn. Okay. So Capricorns, you guys have the Three of Arrows. This is labeled jealousy, and jealousy is really what I'm like noticing, like what Spirit is having me focus on out of this card. So I'm going to say, even though I don't normally go there with this card, actually, I think there's something going on with some jealousy. Now, for some of you, you're actually jealous of someone, but I feel like for a lot of my people, it's more that there's jealousy. How do I want to say this? Yeah, for a few of you, it's pointed at you. Somebody's jealous of you. But for a lot of you, there's like if you have a workplace and you share your workspace with, you know, five other people, then four of them are going to be jealous of somebody else, in the workspace or out of the workspace. Um, so I feel like there's jealousy around you, like in your space, but not necessarily like around you, like pointed at you for a few of you, but not very much, like 1% of you. I think most of you, it's around you. Like you could reach out and touch it if you wanted to. I don't feel like don't feel like most of you are actually feeling this jealousy as far as yourself feeling jealousy towards somebody else. I mean, maybe a few of you, but most of you, I think this is around you. It's kind of in the energy that's floating in your uh, geographic area. And I think with that overall energy, that Knight of Swords, you're strategizing. You're figuring out how to bring people together in a way that is much more healthy and get rid of some of that toxic jealousy so that people can start working well together and being on the same page. So I think you really want that to be what happens, Capricorn. Next up, we're going to look at Aquarius. All right, Aquarius. You guys have the Seven of Stones showing up in reverse. Excuse me. What's going on here? Aquarius, you may be talking to a doctor about some type of healing that needs to happen and it's happening a little slower, or in some cases, a lot slower than you would like, and talking to a doctor about it. For some of you, you've been trying to deal with this on your own and you're realizing, kind of in over my head, maybe I should get some medical help. For others of you, this is something that's been going on for a little while, even with medical help. And so as you're checking in with the doc, you're wondering, what else can we do with this? Is it time to go to whatever the next step might be here? Next up, we're looking at Pisces. Pisces. Four of Bows here, celebration. Pisces with the overall energy being the Knight of Arrows. I think that you are planning some type of celebration. I don't think that this is happening today. It could be, but with that overall energy, I feel like it's more that you're putting the strategy together for some type of celebration. Okay. So putting the plans together. All right. That's what I've got for everybody today. Thank you all for stopping by. I do appreciate you guys spending some of your precious, precious time with me. That is priceless. You guys remember that you are my sponsors. You don't see me peddling who knows what kind of crazy stuff on this channel. So if you don't mind, please put a thumbs up on this video, share it out to the world, and put a comment down below because you guys are the one that helps this channel grow. I'm doing my part. I'm counting on you guys now. The rest is in your hands. And let's see what else. Of course, I'm looking forward to doing private readings for some of you tomorrow, either on the phone or online. If you need that, just reach out to me. We'll get you scheduled and taken care of pretty quickly. And what else? What else? Everybody have a fantastic day. Peace out.